So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends. Welcome here to the University of Vienna. I'll be your host for the upcoming hour or so, during which the International Press Institute will be awarding their World Press Freedom Hero Awards. My name is Stefan Lenglinger, and my main occupation is working as a news anchor for Austria's public broadcaster ORF here in Vienna. As you all know, the IPI was founded as an advocacy organization to protect and support media freedom as a core pillar of democracy and as a core pillar of every free society. And having been a journalist myself for roughly 10 years now, I can't think of a time during which this support was as much needed and the threat to the freedom of journalism as visible across different societies as it is right now. Now, many of you have been journalists for much longer than I have, and of course, the IPI itself has been working for much longer than that as well. This year marks the 75th anniversary since the International Press Institute was founded back then in 1950 at Columbia University. And taking the 7 out of the 75, the Institute will be together with the organization International Media Support, awarding 7 World Press Freedom Hero recipients as well as the Free Media Pioneer Award tonight. Before we get into all that, we will now hear some opening remarks from the people who are directly involved in all this. You'll hear from Gabriele Manuli, the IPI's Director of Special Projects. Then we'll have up on stage Jesper Heuberg, the Executive Director of International Media Support, and the award-winning journalist and writer Mariam. They'll each take their turn right now with their opening remarks. Please welcome them with a round of applause. Thank you.
Okay, I'm shorter. Welcome everybody, and thank you to the University of Vienna for hosting us this evening in this beautiful, beautiful venue. It is my honor to say a few words on behalf of IPI about the historic award ceremony we are all here to witness. This year is very special for us as it marks IPI's 75th anniversary of defending press freedom. We think this is a milestone not just to reflect on our journey, but to come together as a global community to collaborate and create a vision for the future of independent journalism. This year, we also took the time to reflect and learn from our history, digging into the IPI historical archive, as you could see from the exhibition at the venue, but also looking back at all our past heroes. Through the years, this award has honored journalists who have displayed tremendous courage and resilience in fighting for media freedom and the free flow of news. For one of our projects, the IPI 75 bookshelf, we curated books written by our heroes or about them. You can read it on the website. This list does tell a story, a testament to the heroes' long-lasting impact, their profound personal sacrifices, in some cases their own lives, and their tenacity, persistence, and resilience. Our past heroes tell the story of press freedom around the world, and the ones we are honoring tonight do continue this tradition. This evening, we had the great privilege of honoring a group of extraordinary journalists who have a lot to teach us about how we can meet the demands of this current global movement. The 7 distinguished recipients of the 75th anniversary World Press Freedom Hero Award, who come from all over the world, are demonstrative of the current threats facing journalists worldwide. Many of our awardees have faced imprisonment, repression, and relentless efforts to silence their work. Yet, these heroes have also demonstrated how independent journalism can not only persist amidst pressure, but adapt to counter and overcome new and even more insidious attempts to silence them. They have also demonstrated incredible bravery. 2 of this year's awardees, Victoria Roshchyna and Mariam Dagga, paid the ultimate price in the fight to report the news. With this award, we honor their sacrifices and repeat our demands for accountability for their killings. 2 more of this year honorees are currently behind bars: Mzia Amaglobeli in Georgia and Jimmy Lai in Hong Kong. Both of them, their only crime was reporting the truth and standing for democracy. They both must be released immediately and returned to their families, friends, and colleagues. While it is with a heavy heart that I acknowledge those 4 who cannot be with us today, it is my sincere hope that in recognizing these brave journalists with this award, we can bring new urgency to the issue of impunity for crimes committed against members of the media, reinvigorate calls for greater protections of the press, and continue pushing for justice. Tonight, we are also honoring our Free Media Pioneering Award, which goes to Hungary's independent media in recognition of their innovation, adaptation, and endurance under sustained political and economic pressure. Our huge respect and congratulations to all of them, and our hope that they continue to strengthen the spirit of collaboration and persistence. To all our awardees, those who are here with us and those who are not, this recognition is a testament to your courage, commitment, and legacies. We honor you with gratitude, with resolve, and with a deep sense of responsibility. I will now turn to Jesper Jochhopper, Executive Director of the International Media Support, to say a few words, and thank you very much for all of you to come tonight. Thank you.
So I'll see if I can keep my mobile alive here. What a crowd, what a place. Thank you very much, Gabriele. Thank you so much. I am seriously delighted to be here tonight. I wanted to start by congratulating you, my dearest college from IPI, ever so warmly for your 75th anniversary. You already know this in IPI, but it bears repeating how proud I am, how proud we are at IMS for our long-standing partnership, not the least around these fantastic awards that we have the honor to present here this evening, this very special evening. Personally, I feel absolutely enthusiastic running into so many, in the last couple of days, running into so many amazing colleagues, friends, and partners from around the world. It's a very, very powerful gathering indeed, I have to say. The World Press Freedom Hero Award and the Media Pioneer Award is an opportunity to express our absolute full gratitude and admiration. It cannot be stated enough to journalists, editors, and other media workers around the world. And I'm saying something that you also mentioned, Gabriela, because it needs repeating. We are here to celebrate also the courage that you in your everyday practice are in exposing crimes and injustices. Many of you here this evening do so on a daily basis, empowering people with facts and knowledge, allowing them to understand and shape their own lives. Each of this year's awardees have faced acute dangers and threats merely for doing their job. And as Gabriele said, Victoria Roshchyna and Mariam Dagga paid with their lives. We have to repeat it again and again. This morning we again were reminded of the horrors that have happened also to our colleagues in Gaza, where you, Jody, wherever you are, Jody, referred to the normalization of the killing of journalists as a result of the increased demonization of journalists. And again, with no accountability in sight for the perpetrators. Tonight, we honor them all for their efforts to hold power to account and for insisting to keep us and the public informed about the gruesome realities in two of the most devastating conflicts, the wars in Ukraine and in Gaza. Gabriele mentioned Georgia's Mzia and Amaglobeli and Hong Kong's Jimmy Lai that are currently in prison, again simply for doing their job. And I would also want to note also that one of this year's prize winners, Martin Barron, comes from the US. That's really reflecting a new global and scary trend. So with the International Day Against Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists just around the corner, we of course condemn the imprisonment and killing of journalists everywhere in the strongest possible terms. We call for their cases to be thoroughly and independently investigated so that the perpetrators can be held to account. That has to be said again and again. This is not the time to scale down our joint efforts. On the contrary, we need to even be more robust in pushing our governments. We've heard this in so many different ways today and yesterday. I just want to end up by saying, in addition to expressing our admiration and appreciation, the awards we are presenting this evening is also a message of solidarity with all journalists who are working in peril to expose the wrongdoings of all kinds. And I want to say, in addition to that, it's also a serious, solid, and loud appeal to all of us to focus our time and efforts to ensure direct and practical assistance to journalists and media partners working in these very challenging and dangerous environments, because they defend the very notion of press freedom and its role in holding powers to account in a world marred by wars, intimidation, disinformation, and democratic backsliding. Without a free press, there can be no democracy, no informed public, no accountability, no security, no justice, and prosperity. So the journalists and journalism we honor tonight provide a different vision, one of truth, one of accountability, one of hope, and one of freedom. We all owe them our deepest respect for their fearless commitment to exposing what those in power seeks to hide. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to honor people that are going to be on the stage tonight or not be on the stage tonight with us, and to be able to share these few words with you. During this conference, and we will continue tomorrow, we have discussed the many challenges that are facing journalists today as they struggle to serve the truth, as they fight disinformation, repression, murder, economic sanctions, loss of funding, and the competition of social media. But it strikes me how, at the end of the day, everything comes down to the individual and the networks that support them. But it is up to each and every one of us, men and women, our commitment to providing the public with enough facts so that citizens can maintain their agency, so that they can form an opinion, so they can resist and preserve democracy. So in this increasingly dangerously autocratic world, freedom of the press is not a luxury. It's as vital as the air we breathe, and we do want to breathe freely. So, yet freedom of the press is in such trouble today that journalists have become the news in many cases, as they reluctantly step into the limelight. I feel like individual bravery shines through and provides profound inspiration, countless examples of what true human behavior means. Every single journalist we are honoring today, all those who can't be here because they have been killed or they have been detained, because they are fighting on the front lines as I speak. On a personal level, every single one of these journalists has every bit as much to lose as any of us in this room. Friends, family, livelihood, health, dreams, and life itself. But they won't give up, they won't give in, because they are too keenly aware of what's at stake. So they will muster whatever it takes to pursue their mission, to allow each of us to remain informed, aware, and able to defend our rights, to think, to act, to disagree, and to know the truth. Journalists can't switch off, because if they don't report, if they don't expose, if they don't investigate, who will do it? Their courage is not abstract. It lives in detention cells, in war zones, and in the quiet and sometimes not so quiet fear of being watched. And if they have a lot to lose, we audience, we citizens, have everything to gain from their courage and their sacrifice. So I want to tell them tonight, to those who are here and to those who are not, you are not alone. You might be as isolated sometimes as a lighthouse surrounded by oppressive darkness, but there are millions of anonymous souls like myself who understand and who honor you. There are millions of kindred spirits, millions of us in the good side of history who read your words, listen to your broadcasts, and hear your voices as you are fighting for the voiceless. So let us honor you, not with silence, with vigilance. Let us protect the truth you are fighting for with ethics as your sole weapon. In the end, I feel that the courage of journalists is not just their story, it is our story, the story of every person who believes that people matter, that justice matters, that transparency and accountability matter. So we owe you, and you are not alone. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Gabriela, Jesper, and Marianne for those introductory words. We will now dive right into the award ceremony. So in the next few minutes, I'll be introducing each of the recipients of the World Press Freedom Hero Award. And after each name and brief introduction, we'll have a short film up on those screens highlighting the work that they do. And given that they are here, they will then have them directly up on the front of the stage where they'll receive the award and then also seek the opportunity to say a few words on their behalf. Each of their stories, as you'll see in a moment, are remarkable. They're stories of courage, of conviction, and an unwavering belief in the power and the necessity of telling the truth. Some stories are moving, others breathtaking, all of them of course, deeply inspiring to all of us. Tesfalem Waldyes is the first of our 7 awardees tonight. He co-founded Ethiopia Insider and has risked his freedom countless times. He's been detained, he's been exiled and harassed, yet he's never stopped reporting and never stopped trying to keep independent journalism in his home country alive. IPI and IMS honor his resilience and his belief that the public's right to know is always worth defending, even at such great personal risk. We'll hear from him in a bit, but we'll have the video up on screen first right now.
I met Tesfalem 14 years ago, filming around the world for a documentary on how climate change will lead to international conflict. He did the impossible. He got us the permits to film in the critical areas. He was an incredible help.
Tesfalem keeps paying the price repeatedly, however. In 2014, he, alongside other bloggers, was charged under a draconian anti-terrorism law and spent more than a year behind bars.
The place we kept, we called it Siberia, because we compared it with Siberia. It's a very cold place, and I didn't feel that I will miss sky. And whenever we are out for 10 minutes, I was staring on sky for 10 minutes and it's just over.
Journalistic integrity is especially valuable in a country where press freedom is highly restricted, and misinformation and disinformation continue to fuel conflict and violence in the country.
There is Tesfalem, somebody who stands his ground, who knows his
I guess that's one of those moments where it's good to have a moderator for your award ceremony. So at this point, please forgive that we don't have the full video up on screen right now, but we'll have Tesfalem here receive his award, and then he'll also have a few words to say to us. Please give it up for him. Thanks so much.
The challenges are persisting, as you see. Good evening, everyone. I am deeply honored and grateful to stand before you today to accept the prestigious World Press Freedom Hero Award. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to IPI-IMS for this recognition and to the International Selection Committee for considering me. I am profoundly humbled to share this award with all the two journalists who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in the pursuit of their work, and with those unjustly imprisoned, and with those who hold the powerful to account. While being chosen for this award has filled me with a sense of pride and accomplishment, it has also fueled an even greater desire to recognize the incredible work of Ethiopian journalists. This honor also belongs to my fellow Ethiopian journalists, both at home and in exile. Practicing journalism in Ethiopia is not an easy task. Intimidation, harassment, threats, persecution, arbitrary arrest and detention are common occurrences. Hundreds of Ethiopian journalists have been forced to exile due to a prolonged crackdown. Despite government interference and political pressure, they persist with courage and determination. I hope this award will shine a light on their efforts and highlight the urgent need for attention and collective action to improve their situation. This award is a powerful reminder that high standards and excellence in journalism are important and make a difference. It also inspires me to keep going and to produce more impactful stories. Finally, I am forever grateful to my family and friends who have stood by me through all my challenges and contributed to my professional success. Their unwavering support helped me survive my toughest time, including my time in prison. Rahel, Sion, Lily, Fikr, Bisre, Alex, Burte, Ashate, Haimanot, Skadar, Nardos, Jerry, Hewan, Tamrat Gabriel Georgis, Sophie, Bafike, Fasika, Henok, Girma, all the Addis Neger colleagues, Zone Niners, and Ethiopian Insider team, Bayalachubat Kafyala, Nalibai Mskana Drasachu, Ikanile Galatoma. Thank you all again for this immense honor. Thank you.
Congratulations again, very much deserved, of course. I don't know if all of you saw it. Unfortunately, we dropped the glass case of the award just before we were about to give it. In Austria, we always say, Scherben bringen Glück. So to speak, broken glass makes you lucky. And and I guess next to the unshatterable journalistic backbone that you do have, a bit of luck is always something that we welcome. Just a small tip for the next awardees. It's unfair, I'm rather tall, so I adjust the microphone for my height. Before you start to speak, you can always put it a bit down or rise it higher if you're taller than me, just so we make sure that we don't have it in front of your face when we then take the pictures. We'll move on now to a name that's been mentioned a couple of times tonight already, Mzia Amaglobeli. She's the co-founder and the CEO of Bartomelebi and Net Gazeti, which are two of Georgia's leading independent outlets. She herself, as has been mentioned, is in prison right now, and her imprisonment has become a powerful symbol of resistance against rising authoritarianism in Georgia and abroad. For decades now, she's helped build independent media in her home country, also inspiring new generations of journalists herself who refuse, like her, to be silenced. This award honors her resilience, and the IPI at this moment also wants to renew its demand for her immediate release. We'll give it another shot with the video and try to have her one on screen right now.
Mzia Amaglobeli არა მხოლოდ ჩემთვის, არამედ ფართო საზოგადოებისთვის უკვე გახდა სიმბოლო ბრძოლის.
As the Georgian dream tightened its grip on the media, they looked for a victim they could harass and subdue. They wanted a case that would serve as a warning to all of their critics in the media and beyond. However, things went awry for them inadvertently. They gave a voice to a hero, to someone who was very firm in her belief in Georgia's European future.
Სიმართლე კი იმაში მდგომარეობს, რომ რეჟიმი ცდილობს, ქართული ოცნების რეჟიმი ცდილობს საქართველოში დაამყაროს ავტორიტარიზმი, უფრო მეტის დიქტატურა და ამ ბრძოლაში, დემოკრატიისთვის ბრძოლაში ქართული საზოგადოების ერთ-ერთი გამოძრავებელი ძალა თუ არა, ერთ-ერთი რაღაცა გამორჩეული სახე, გამორჩეული ფიგურა, გამორჩეული ადამიანი და პერსონაჟი არის მზია ამაღლებელი, რომელიც ამ წინააღმდეგობას აძლიერებს.
Without access to medical attention and proper care, her chronic diseases have exacerbated. With her left eye, Mzia can only distinguish light. In the right eye, her eyesight decreased to 10%. Eyeglasses can help increase it to 30% only, while before detention it could be increased to 90%.
I think we're going to add each bit to some materials and we show that soon. And this one I don't. I'm not going to so get the photo out quickly so we do that because I was pretty changed. Now there's like this stuff like gosh is to what kind of show these hash it on the note side.
At this moment, the award will be presented to a representative of Mzia, who of course couldn't make it tonight. We have Tamara Rukadze here, who's the deputy director of the news outlet that Mzia works for. Please present her with the award, and then we'll hear from you as well. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you very much. In the past few days, over 80 people have been arrested in my country. And the number of detained journalists keeps increasing. There are 8 now, and among them a board member of the Georgian public broadcaster. She has just been sentenced to 5 days of administrative detention. Just today, this afternoon, they detained 3 journalists. And I fear how these numbers may have changed by the time this remarkable award reaches Georgia. In recent weeks, I've been tasked with a mission to bring some of Mzia's awards home. Although this mission fills me with immense pride, it also brings deep sadness, because these awards recognize Mzia's courage and sacrifice, but at the same time, they remind us of erosion of press freedom and growing injustice in Georgia, and of the painful reality that, as we speak, Mzia remains unlawfully imprisoned. And perhaps this feeling is quite familiar for other laureates or their representatives. Mzia sends her respect, solidarity, and support to all of them. She is honored to be among these extraordinary journalists, some imprisoned, some in exile, and even those who may not be in danger today, well aware that being a journalist is never safe. Tragically, 2 of the laureates are receiving their awards posthumously, and we pay our tribute to them and tribute to all the courageous journalists working in wars and conflicts under authoritarian regimes, and to all of those who are willing to risk everything for the truth. And among these brave journalists stands Mzia, who never sought to be a hero. And perhaps that's precisely why she's the right person to be one. The way she faced imprisonment, intimidation, and insults, the way she endured her 38 days of hunger strike and loss of her eyesight, she never once complained. She never once took a seat of the accused during her trial, a silent act of defiance that speaks loudly. And above all, the way she carries this burden of being in the public spotlight, being someone so many look up to and take as an example, whose every move and word becomes symbolic. She does this all with so much sincerity, humility, and honesty that her strength of character and her composure can only inspire admiration. In Mzia's words, this award is not just for her, but for the entire Batmalebi and Netgazeti team who carry on Mzia's fight and live by the values she built these media outlets on. And for the Georgian journalists, some of them are here, who are courageously upholding the public's right to know and resisting the darkness in which Georgia's democracy dies. And I'm sure that on their stories, new generations of Georgian journalists will learn, just as new generations of Georgian journalists will learn from Mzia's example, how one woman journalist stood up to a dictatorship for her truth and for the truth of others. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next awardee is behind bars as well. We'll be giving out the 3rd award right now, a prominent figure in media. I'm talking about Jimmy Lai, the founder of Hong Kong's pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily, which was forced to close down, as you all know, amid a sweeping crackdown on press freedom by Chinese force. He's been imprisoned for nearly 5 years and now faces a possible life sentence for charges that are widely viewed as politically motivated. Tonight, we honor his extraordinary courage and his unwavering defense of free speech and democracy, and we have a video prepared for him as well.
Even if they can induce fear in you, that's the easiest way to control you. That's the cheapest way to control you, and the most effective way. And they know it, and they're very good at it.
I think that the Chinese Communist Party has never, in its 100 years of history and its more than 75 years of power, run across anybody like Jimmy Lai.
I mean, it's incredibly, it's purely politically motivated, which is why there's so much political outcry, because here's a man who's given up everything that he had to stand for freedom, stayed, defended his principles, and have his colleagues.
His interest in media was first as a business, but equally important, and eventually as time went on, more important, media as a means of promoting freedom.
The world should be paying attention to this case because for the longest time, over the last 20, 30 years, there was a belief that as countries were getting more wealthier, they would be more and more democratic. That turned out to be completely untrue, but my father knew that 30 years ago. And that's why he has given every single ounce of his being to campaign for freedom and democracy in Hong Kong.
So the crackdown on Jimmy, one of the richest, most prominent people in the city, is a warning to people in Hong Kong, people in Taiwan, people in China, indeed, people everywhere, that the Chinese Communist Party cannot be trusted to keep its promises.
If I'm in jail, I'm living my life meaningfully.
And the award will now be accepted by Jimmy Lai's son, Sebastian Lai. Give it up for him. Round of applause, please.
First of all, thank you so much for this award. I know my father would be incredibly honored to not just receive this award, but receive it among such a group of courageous and incredibly inspiring peers. He once told me why he decided to go into media after being very successful with a clothing brand. He would say that through media, through journalism, you gave people information, and with information they had choice, and with choice they had freedom. And for him, that was incredibly exhilarating. And for the next 20, 30 years, him and his colleagues lived by that. They were not scared to tell the truth to whoever, whatever powerful being hold power to account, as they say. And it carried him through tough times, and it carried him through a decision to stay in Hong Kong when the national security law came down and everybody told him that he was going to be one of the main targets. He knew that he had to stay to defend his colleagues, and it's still carrying him through his current ordeal. At the end of this year, he will be 78, at which point he would have spent 6 years in maximum security prison in solitary confinement. It's incredibly heartbreaking to say these words, but it's also incredibly inspiring to see this man who, throughout this hard and soul-shaking ordeal, is still standing strong. In one of the occasions in his trial, he was asked about what Apple Daily did, and he said, well, it's very simple. We just hold the torch to the truth. And so I'm sure he will be tremendously honored to receive this award with all these other people who have decided to hold a torch to the truth and never waver. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much also for taking the time to receive this award on your father's behalf, of course, and coming here tonight. Just a quick note to the awardees. We, of course, want to get your picture with the award in hand before you then take the opportunity to speak. So once you receive it, we'll have a picture with either you or with Jesper, and then just a single photo shot as well. And then, of course, we're very much looking forward to hearing your words as well. We're about halfway through with the award ceremony, and our next World Press Freedom Hero Award goes to Mariam Abu Dagga, who was a Palestinian photojournalist, and she showed the world the reality of life in Gaza. Again, often at enormous personal risk, and Mariam was killed in August of this year in an Israeli airstrike while documenting the human toll of the conflict. This award honors her bravery, her work, and the many journalists who, like her, keep telling the story even at such personal risk and exposed to such danger as she's been. We'll have a video about her on screen as well right now.
I want the whole world to remember Mariam. For me, I remember her every day, every minute, every second, because her death was very hard for me.
Mariam wasn't just documenting life in Gaza. She was living every moment of it with deep compassion and strength, even in the darkest days, when fear and loss surrounded us. She stood firm, camera in hand, determined to make sure the world would never look away.
She was visiting me daily or every 2 or 3 days, depending on her work, because she was overloaded with work and she was the first to cover the events.
Thank you, Mariam, for showing us what real courage looks like, and for reminding us and reminding the world that love and truth are the strongest forms of resistance.
Thank you so much. We will now be having 2 people receiving this award on Mariam's behalf. The first is Lucy Nicholson from the Associated Press, where she's the director, of photography, and she sent us a pre-recorded video that we'll have up on screen right now as well.
Good evening. On behalf of the Associated Press, it is both an honor and a deep sorrow to accept this award, recognizing Mariam Dagga as a press freedom hero. Mariam was a visual journalist from Khan Yunis in Gaza. She was 33 years old, a mother, a daughter, a colleague, and a friend. Through her lens, Mariam showed the world what life looked like for ordinary people living through extraordinary hardship. She photographed families forced from their homes, children weakened by hunger, doctors working through exhaustion, and mourners saying their final goodbyes. Her images were not only journalism, they were acts of witness. She believed that even in war, humanity must be seen. Mariam knew the dangers. She moved again and again as the fighting closed in, but she never stopped working. She based herself at Nasser Hospital, documenting both the suffering and the courage of those inside. It was there, doing her job, that she was killed in an Israeli strike, along with journalists and civilians. She leaves behind her 13-year-old son, the center of her world. In her will, she wrote to him, "Never forget me, and remember that your mother did everything she could to make you happy, comfortable, and at ease." Mariam gave everything, even her life, so the truth could be seen. The power of journalism lies in being present, in showing up independently when few others can. That's what Mariam did every single day. Tonight, we honor her courage, her compassion, and her unwavering commitment to truth. And we remember all those, like Mariam, who remind us that the work of a free press is not abstract. It is human, it is costly, and it matters. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm glad to announce now that Hadi Tofi is here in person. He's the Assistant Editor-in-Chief of Independent Arabia. He'll receive the award in hand right now and then also have a few words and addresses.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor, also a deeply sorrow, that I'm standing tonight on behalf of Mariam Abu Dagga, our brave colleague with Independent Arabia from Gaza. Honoring Mariam is really honoring all of us, that we try to carry on her legacy and her great job to spread the truth everywhere. We wish she were here with us to witness how we are celebrating her great job, but sadly she's not. Since the IPI and IMS recognized her for this year's award, her family in Gaza shown a massive excitement and pride. They truly wanted to be with us tonight to celebrate their daughter's legacy, but unfortunately they couldn't make it to Vienna because of the ongoing siege on Gaza and because the suffering and the borders are still closed. Over the past years, Mariam has shared with us a powerful photos and human stories from Gaza. During the war, she left everything behind her: her home, her comfort, and even her life, to share with us the story of people that their voices too often ignored. We tried to track her while she was reporting from the ground by phone. It is with sorrow to share with you that in one of her messages to me, when she was advocating her place, running to a safer place, she ended her voice message that I still have it with me with this word that I don't know where to go, I have nowhere to go. Before her death, Mariam wrote wills for a couple of people around her, for her family, and especially for her son, Ghaith Abu Dagga. In her will, she wished for him to study hard, to become a businessman, and to create a family, and one day when he will have a daughter, to name her after her name, Mariam. So in this way, her name will be live on with love not to lose. This message reminds us that people in Gaza, although under the siege, they hope, they dream, and they want to have an equal life like all of us. Tonight, as we are accepting the World Press Freedom Hero Award on behalf of Mariam Abu Dagga, we are honoring not only her bravery, but also her hopes. On behalf of Mariam Abu Dagga family, my colleagues in Independent Arabia and our editor-in-chief, Adwan Al-Ahmari, I want to thank IMS and IPI for honoring Mariam and recognizing her courage, her humanity, and her everlasting hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those words, and also, of course, for taking the journey to Vienna to be able to accept this award on her behalf as well. Our next prize will now go to Victoria Roshchyna. She was a Ukrainian journalist who reported fearlessly from Russian-occupied areas. She was detained in 2023 and then died in captivity a year later. Her courage and the price that she paid for the truth also remind us why independent journalism matters, especially in times of war. And we'll have a video about her on screen as well right now.
Вітаю, ви дивитесь Громадське, мене звати Вікторія Рощина.
A Ukrainian journalist who chronicled the Russian invasion has died while in detention in Russia for more than a year.
In April 2025, her body was returned to Ukraine with visible signs of torture.
Roshchyna was the last Ukrainian journalist to travel to areas occupied by Russia.
She has become an iconic name in the profession. I think she deserved it. She was just 26 years old, and there was nothing else in her life than journalism and human rights.
We know that Victoria Roshchyna was tortured in Russian captivity. We know that, unfortunately, Victoria Roshchyna, she didn't have an access to medical support. Unfortunately, people from this jail didn't pay attention to her critical mood in this situation.
Victoria's case is absolutely crucial for not only our professional community, but just for the mere understanding of humanity. She was tortured.
We will understand this war thanks to Victoria's works after years and years, maybe after even 50 years. Her incredible stories will be the part of Ukrainian legacy and the part of this storytelling during the war.
Яку тему ведеш?
Це багато тем.
Якесь розслідування даємо?
Розслідування перше, але ми це не будемо.
Не будеш казати. Це все. Ну, пов'язане, мабуть, з якимись силовим органом. Хіміки, справами.
Thank you so much. The award will now be accepted on Victoria's behalf by Anna Babinets, who's the director of investigative news agency Slidstvo.info, and also Andrei Boborikin, the executive director of Ukrainska Pravda. And we'll have them both receive the award, and then I think Anna will give some remarks. We'll have that right now. Thanks so much.
Dear colleagues, it's strange being on stage in Europe accepting the award for a colleague. The colleague who you knew, a prominent journalist, and who is not with us anymore. Victoria was killed in Russian prison, obviously by Russians. Our team at Slidstvo.info have been investigating her murder for months and discovered many details about how exactly everything happened. Horrible details. I will only share one such detail with you. Before her death, Victoria, a young woman, weighed 30 kilos. In just 1 year in Russian prisons, she lost approximately 15 kilos of body weight. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that a professional journalist from a European country in the 21st century is dying in prison because of torture and starvation? The war between Ukraine and Russia has been going on for almost 12 years, and it's been almost 4 years since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of our country. You might say wars are wars, many people are dying and so do journalists. But have you ever heard of a Russian journalist dying of torture in a Ukrainian prison? I believe you didn't. And that's because it's not happening. So today I want to use this opportunity to talk in front of such a great audience to remind that Ukrainians and Russians are not in the same line in this war. In memory of Victoria, I ask you not to put Ukrainian and Russian journalists in the same line. Make us share the same stages and talk about our experiences covering the war as if they are equal. They are not. And we are not both victims of the war. My colleagues are dying from the hands of invaders, which never happens with Russian journalists who work in comfortable exile, where drones and missiles are not hitting their homes and offices, from where they can't be taken to Russian prison, to be tortured and starved to death. Victoria was killed when she dared to go and report for Ukrainian cities and towns occupied by Russian forces, something that should have been an obvious responsibility of Russian reporters. And she died because there were no professional Russian journalists around who were brave enough to go to occupied territories and to do honest reporting from there. She did that instead of them, and she died for that, for all Russian journalism, which basically doesn't exist. I'm honored to receive this award for my amazing, brave colleague, Victoria Roshchyna. Thank you.
Thank you, and we're honored to have you here with us tonight as well. Gustavo Gorriti is up next. He is one of Latin America's most respected investigative journalists, the founder of IDL Reporteros in Peru. For decades now, he's been exposing corruption at the very highest levels of government and often at great personal risk as well. Even today, he faces imprisonment, possibly for doing his job. IPI and IMS honor him as a World Press Freedom Hero for his courage and for his lifelong commitment to accountability. We'll have his video up on screen right now, then we'll hear from him as well.
Si llego al Congreso esposado, esas esposas van a representar posiblemente uno de los mayores galardones que yo haya recibido en la lucha y defensa de la libertad de prensa.
I think that Gustavo is brilliant. He's honest, he's a man of integrity. He's determined, and he masters the journalistic method, as very few people I know.
Lo persiguen por lo que ha publicado, porque les incomoda, por lo que representa a las élites corruptas.
It directly impacted the powerful elite like nothing before, especially those tied to autocratic governments. When we started publishing, they were very powerful and reacted by bullying us.
In a country with so much corruption and impunity as Peru is, very few people have both the capacity and the courage to unveil that corruption. That is why so many people, so many powerful people fear him.
Gorriti no solo es una leyenda, es también un héroe del periodismo y merece todos los reconocimientos. Es generoso, excelente investigador, honesto, disciplinado, metódico, comprometido con las causas de la defensa de la libertad de expresión.
Short message. This award is both a great and a humbling honor, especially to an institution that meant so much to a great journalist, Enrique Sileri, a mentor, a friend, an inspiring boss who was IPI's chairman in the last part of the 1980s. This award makes me also look back with a tinge of wistful nostalgia to my nearly 45 years of journalism and with admiration at the 75th anniversary of the International Press Institute. In normal times, both numbers, the 45 and the 75, express longevity, usually associated with peace rather than turbulence or danger. But as we all know, turbulence and danger is what independent journalism faces now all over too many places in the world. Press freedom is not only attacked under dictatorships or authoritarian regimes. Democracy is receding under aggression, even in places we wouldn't have expected it to happen. Disinformation, which can be roughly defined as lies disguised as truths, is rampant, all too often acquiesced as a fact of life by diplomats, politicians, university leaders, even journalists. When we try to look for parallels of this, we end inevitably looking at the previous century, at how the world was in the 1920s, especially in the 1930s, when weak democracies were taken over, often through the vote, by totalitarian, brutal regimes who not just conquered the states, but also the minds of the people through propaganda and disinformation. We know what it took to defeat the forces of evil. The past is not a very precise mirror, but there are too many similarities, too many analogies to ignore. As we journalists are on the very first lines of this cracking front, we better brace for hard times. I am referring to the journalism that strives to unearth, report, and expose relevant truths. Report those truths that powerful organizations or individuals need to keep hidden. This journalism is the one facing existential danger in many places. So we should approach our imperial longevity finding out how to defend successfully against the enemies of democracy and the free press. Looking through the mirror of the last century, we can listen to or read some hard-won insights gained in extremely hard times. In the fateful days of 1944, as editor-in-chief of Combat, the clandestine newspaper of the Resistance, Albert Camus wrote, "Lying is never without purpose. Even the most impudent lie, if repeated often enough and long enough, retains a certain power. But stating the truth is enough to repel the falsehoods." In 1946, George Orwell wrote that, used as a tool, political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable. And in his 1970 novel lecture, Alexander Solzhenitsyn spoke about the close complicity of lies with violence. Violence, he said, cannot conceal itself behind anything except lies, and lies have nothing to maintain them save violence. Anyone who has once proclaimed violence as his method must inexorably choose lie as his principle. So, disinformation, the lying distortion of realities, must be countered by the vigorous reporting of truthful reality, especially through a strong investigative journalism. It is a difficult proposition. Investigative journalism requires time to report, to check and double-check, whereas you can be drowned every day with avalanches of disinformation. And how to counter that disproportion? Potent, truthful journalism can destroy whole edifices of lies, as long as expressed with the right vigor and proper follow-up. Truth is potent and empowering as long as it manages to reach the millions. That is the challenge we can meet with talent, hardiness, and never letting fear become our editor. But even the best free press needs a critical mass of means, resources for its actions to be effective. In the larger picture, do we have those means now? No. Do we have enough investigative journalism? No. Is it in peril, in crisis the world over? Yes. Are urgent steps being taken to remedy it? I don't think so. Does it look like investigative journalism, press freedom, and democracy face the likelihood of a strategic defeat? Not yet. Can we have a realistic hope to celebrate, in the not too distant future, the 100th anniversary of IPI on a less somber tone? I very much hope so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations, of course. Our final World Press Freedom Hero Award goes to Martin Baron, who's here with us tonight. He led the Washington Post and the Boston Globe to a total of 18 Pulitzer Prizes, and his leadership during this time defined what tough, fair, and fact-driven journalism should be. IPI and IMS acknowledge his significant contributions to journalism as such, and also on how to safeguard it, which carry even greater relevance at a time when press freedom, as we've also heard tonight, is increasingly under threat, even so now in the United States of America. As said, he's here with us tonight. He'll receive the reward and then also speak to us. Before we get into that, we'll have a video about him as well.
One thing I think we have to do is we have to cover the entirety of our communities and our country, people of all ideologies, people who are struggling, people who are, let them see themselves actually fully and fairly reflected in our coverage. I think that's very important for people to do.
People are incredibly loyal to Marty. It is because he is brave and has a North Star and is a ferocious journalist.
Thank you and the entire Washington Post team for your tireless efforts to uphold the tenets of a free press.
En su carrera tomó decisiones complejas que se tradujeron en un periodismo que trascendió la agenda local para lograr un impacto global. Es precisamente esta cualidad lo que lo convierte en un visionario. Es uno de los grandes referentes del periodismo global en una época de muchos cambios que aún no termina y que está diseñando el periodismo del futuro.
He is also the most consequential American journalist of his generation. And here's why. His intelligence, his integrity, his independence, his courage, his passion, his vision, and his unblinking commitment to the public's right to know.
Marty sets an example for how we should all live our lives personally and professionally. There is a bravery, there is a sense of ethics, there is a sense of this is the right thing to do, and I will do it so that I can sleep at night and look at myself in the morning.
Thank you very much for this recognition. It's a great honor, and I am deeply grateful. And yet, I need to acknowledge that the other honorees had to deal with far worse than I ever did. So have far too many journalists around the world. My life has not been in imminent jeopardy. I've never been arrested. I've never been imprisoned. I've not been physically accosted or harassed. I've received many threats, but they were in the form of phone calls, emails, and regular mail. Some, according to the Washington Post security team, came from individuals with violent, even criminal backgrounds. But my colleagues at the Washington Post had to deal with far greater dangers. Of course, we had a president describing journalists as garbage and enemies of the people, and he regularly attacked the Washington Post. He attacked journalists since the day he entered politics in 2015, 3,500 times. Fortunately, during my career, I also had legal protection in the form of the First Amendment to the US Constitution, with its guarantee of free speech and a free press. When I began my career in the 1970s, Americans could see clearly how the press served democracy. With the publication of the Pentagon Papers, first by the New York Times, the public learned of the failures its government had covered up during a long war in Vietnam that cost so many lives. And then there was Watergate, an investigation spearheaded by the Washington Post. The public learned how its president had weaponized the government against his political adversaries, how he had abused his powers and sabotaged the Constitution and committed crimes. The press not only served democracy, over the years it also contributed to the broader public interest. When there was grave wrongdoing, often no one but journalists explored the facts. That was true when we at the Boston Globe investigated a decades-long cover-up of sexual abuse within the Archdiocese of Boston, and as it turned out, throughout the Catholic Church worldwide. Until a decade ago, I took for granted that we would always have a free press in the United States. I no longer take that for granted. I can't be certain the rule of law will prevail. I can't be confident that a free press will endure. And I can't trust that certain owners of major media will resist political pressures as they should. And tragically, my country is no longer a model for free expression throughout the world. Our government is turning a deaf ear to those elsewhere who struggle for the freedoms we have long enjoyed. Independent journalists, democracy activists, and human rights advocates have lost vital American support, and that is a sign that we in the United States have lost our soul. Now, like many American journalists, I take inspiration from our colleagues in other countries who have confronted greater pressures than we. We see you as examples of the indomitable spirit that is needed to defend rights that are owed to any citizen anywhere. The freedom to inquire into facts, the freedom to share what you have learned, the freedom to communicate what you believe. Those rights are simple. They are basic. They define human dignity and autonomy. My personal goal is to do everything I can to help secure those rights. So today, on my 71st birthday, I've done my best to try to stop the aging process, but it does not work. Today, on my 71st birthday, I could not imagine anything better than being with all of you celebrating press freedom. Thank you for this very generous birthday gift.
Thank you, congratulations, and happy birthday, of course. As a crowning now of tonight's ceremony process, we will be giving out one more award, and this award, the IPI-IMS Free Media Pioneer Award, goes to those who keep journalism alive even when it's most hardest to do so. It's about resilience, it's about creativity, and about having an impact. And this year's honorees, I think, couldn't represent that better. We're talking about Hungary's independent media. For more than a decade now, they faced relentless political and also economic pressure, yet they keep finding new ways to reach people in the country, new outlets, new funding models, cross-newsroom collaborations, whatever it takes to stay independent. They're part, in this sense, of a long Hungarian tradition that freedom of the press and freedom of the country go hand in hand. And tonight we celebrate their courage as well and their innovation, as well as the belief that free journalism is always still possible, even when everything in the system that you're operating within seems designed to work against it. For that, I would now like for all members of Hungary's independent media in the audience to stand, and Jesper will now present them with the award, and the representatives may then, of course, come forward. A round of applause, please.
Well, thank you. I am Marton Karpati. I work at Telex, but I'm speaking on behalf of the entire independent and free media in Hungary. We feel very proud and honored to get this award, so thank you very much. As you probably know, it's not always easy to be a journalist in Hungary. We have to face different issues and problems, but with our audience, with our families, with our friends, with our partners, and with you, and with organizations like IPI, it's much easier to do our jobs. So we are grateful for this, and we are really happy to have this award and have this support from all of our teams, all of our audiences, all of our readers, all of our viewers, and everyone. Let me send out a message at the end. Despite all the difficulties, keep up, never give up, and spread the truth. Thank you again.
Thank you. Let me just say a few words in closing. I think what we've seen and what we've heard tonight is a very strong reminder of why this work matters so much. It's brave, it's vital, and it never stops, even when the cost is high. To all our laureates, thank you so much for what you do. And to everyone here, thank you so much for standing with the Free Press. Just on a brief personal note, as someone who's hoping to have a few more decades in journalism himself, and who sometimes gets a bit gloom and doomy when one looks at the current state of media, it's incredibly inspiring to listen to everything that we've seen and heard being shared here tonight. Please join us now for the reception outside. We have drinks, we have some finger food, and just a quick note for everyone who was traveling with the buses from the same spot that you arrived at, there will be buses taking you back to the Schönbrunn area. If I'm correctly informed, there will be one right around now at 9 p.m. and another one at 9:30. But we do hope that you stay with us for a bit and then to also celebrate. It was an honor for me to be your host for this part of the process. Thank you so much.